Hello and welcome to the Thomcast. I'm Tom, president and dictator for life of 515comics.com. Just a quick note about the Thomcasts before I get into this week's episode. I'm not really sure if Fridays are going to be the best days for me to shoot and publish Thomcasts. I'm going to do my best to make sure that I'm still getting a Thomcast out each week, but it might not be on Fridays, and it might just have to be that it becomes sort of a floating update thing for a while, so I'm sorry about that. Now let's talk pipe dreams. Today's subject is going to be making a living making webcomics. This will be about my 5th year of going to conventions and operating as a small business, selling my comics. When I started the company, one of the goals was I wanted the company to pay for itself. And that's something I'm pushing myself to do this year. In years leading up to this, I have funneled some of my income from my job to my business to help pay for trips, tables at conventions, printing things. But this year I think I would really like to cut myself off from that. I have cut myself off from that. And I'd like to see if I can make the business work just by making sales at shows and online. And that was a goal from the get-go. That's something that I wanted to do, that I wanted the business to be able to support itself. The next logical step after that is to actually make an income, because all of the money that I make with my business currently goes right back into the business. So the next step after that, it just makes sense, would be, yeah, I make enough that there is surplus. I can do the things that I want to do and more. Anyway, I didn't really want this to be like talk of a business plan so much as talk about, do I actually want to make a living doing this? Do I want to replace my income and not have another job and just make my comics for a living? It sounds good. And this last weekend I went to RodCon and I carpooled with my friend Trey Baldwin. And on the way back, we discussed many things. We discussed life, the universe, monsters, all the important stuff. Among those things, we talked about the fact that Trey currently is doing that. He is selling stuff to make an income to help him and his family live on by selling his art and his comics. If we're looking at it of me dipping my toe in to figure out if selling comics is something that I could do to replace my income, he has sort of taken a running jump into it, which is quite inspiring in a lot of ways. And it really kind of made me feel like, man, maybe I should be doing that. But the more I think about it, the more I'm not sure that is really a goal that I have right now. I always tell people if I could do 5 pages a week, if I could do 7 pages a week, I would. If I didn't have to work, if I was making enough money doing this, I would just make pages every day. It would make me be a better storyteller, which is kind of at the core of everything that I want to be. I want to tell my stories, and if I could put out pages more than 3 times a week, that'd be awesome. Thing is, I could put out more than 3 pages a week. My wife and I were talking about this some earlier this week, and I kind of came to the realization that, just because I don't get a paycheck from my comics doesn't mean that I couldn't do more of my comics. And I'm just not sure that actually making an income is what I want. It's something that I realized I needed to think a lot more about, because I just assumed that eventually I'm going to have to sit down and I'm going to have to think, how am I going to make this my income? Because, you have to have it as a plan. It's not just going to happen that someday I'm going to wake up and it's like, oh wow, I'm making in excess of what I make at my job selling my comics, so I guess I better quit my job. That's not just going to happen. I would have to work towards that. And so far, I've not really been taking great strides to figure out how I'm going to do that, because I don't know how realistic it is. I hesitate to say that I don't think it's realistic, because then the positivity side of my brain kicks in and it's like, well, that's all the more reason that you just gotta go for it. You gotta double down on it. You gotta make it happen. But I just don't know that with what I'm doing and with what I'm producing, if it's conceivable for me to think that I could make enough not only to replace my income, but also to replace the other things that my job affords me, like health insurance. So this is kind of like big real life stuff, and the more I think about it, the more it's like, right now, I have immense satisfaction from both my job and from my side job, my business, selling these comics. And I do want to make more, and I do want to be able to expand my business and generate more income than what I need just to keep it going on its own, because then I can do more cool things with it. But I don't know that I need to put on my plate the goal of replace my income with income from the comic. Anyway, it's something I need to think about a little bit more, and it's been buzzing around my head a lot, and I just kind of wanted to share with you what I was going through. That's what pipe dreams are for. I guess there's a lot of kind of floaty ideas in this episode, but if I had to condense it down to one question to put to you, the viewers, what would be the thing that you would chase after? What would be the thing that it's like, if I didn't have to work, this is what I would do? Or if I could make this my job, I would do it. I'm curious to know, because I think it's something that's important to think about. And even though I don't know that I really want making my comics and telling my stories to be my sole source of income, it is still something that I want to make sure I always have the ability to do. So I guess think about it that way. It doesn't necessarily have to be something that would be your job, but if there's something that you could do in your life that would give you immense satisfaction, what would it be? And would you want to make it your job? Maybe that's what I'll ask you guys. So anyway, thanks as always for watching. I hope that you got something out of my ramblings, and if not, thanks for hearing me out. I will talk to you soon. Keep your stick on the ice.